3FM 92.7. We're coming to you live from our studio at Adesawe Kanda here in Accra. Also live on our numerous affiliates across the country. Around the world, we're streaming live on 3news.com. Download the tuning app from the Google Play or Apple iOS store and listen to us on the go. Coming up this afternoon, military intervention in coup troubled Niger on as ECOWAS Commissioner for Political Peace and Security, Ambassador Abdul Fattah Musa vows constitutional rule will be restored at all costs. We're live to the Burma camp where the chiefs of defense staff are currently meeting and get details plus subject the latest to some analysis. Ghana Health Service expressed concerns over a rising incident of brain drain in the country's health sector. We hear from them shortly, and much later, court to rule on a special prosecutor's application to confirm freeze of account and asset of Cecilia Abnadapa on August 31. We'll tell you what we know if you stay with us for the next 30 minutes. A pleasure that you could be a part of this afternoon's bulletin. It's streaming live on Facebook. Our handles 3FM 927. Same handles on Twitter as well, 3FM 927. I am Mawuena Egbeta. Let's begin. And the ECOWAS Commissioner for Political Peace and Security, Ambassador Abdul Fattah Musa, says constitutional rule will be restored in Niger at all costs, indicating that the regional bloc must put an end to the increasing spate of coups in the West African sub-region. Speaking at the opening of a meeting of chiefs of defense staff of ECOWAS member states in Accra, he said the reasons given by the coup leaders in Niger are not justified, and we know that the meeting is aimed at finalizing a strategy on how to intervene in Niger to take out the military junta. We'll hear from him shortly, but the Minister for Defense here in Ghana, Dominic Nitiwul, as well, he's there and has been speaking. Here's exactly what he's been saying.
Our region in the past had been developed by coup d'etats and military takeovers, whilst other regions did not have same. The southern and eastern countries had relatively been very peaceful, and whilst we were creating issues for ourselves, they were busily, ladies and gentlemen, attracting investments. The result is that our people were there for the West. But today, our nations within West Africa are sliding again into the era that we thought would never come. That is why it is clear to all of us that the security of the sub-region is going through one of the most difficult moments after the challenges in the 60s, the 70s, and particularly the 90s, when rebel incursions destabilized parts of the West African sub-region. And in recent times, the scourge of terrorist armed groups and violent extremist groups have rocked the Sahel region of West Africa. As stated already, the populations of these countries have been affected by these activities, and the people are paying heavy price. Loss of human lives, deterioration of critical infrastructure, school dropouts are abandoned, lingering humanitarian crisis, and states are gradually losing large tracts of their territory to these unfortunate incidents. Who now control and carry out various criminal activities and continue to conduct illicit cross-border trafficking, ECOWAS can only be weaker by these acts. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, as you are all aware, 4 of our member states are now facing sanctions for resorting to unconstitutional change of government, which contradicts the ECOWAS protocol on good governance and democracy.
That's the Defense Minister, Dr. Dominic Nitu. Komla Kluche is a parliamentary affairs correspondent. He's there for us to provide a bit more details. Komla, many thanks for joining us this afternoon. So we've been hearing from the Defense Minister. We'll hear from the Akua's ambassador a bit more as well. But talk to us. You've been there since the meeting began. Exactly what's been ongoing?
So, Martin, this is a gathering of all the defense chiefs in the sub-region, in the section of about 4 or 5 of them who are not here. Benin is not here, and a host of others, of course. There are some who are on suspension who are not here, but a majority of them are here. About 10 of them are here. And their strategy is purposely to have this final meeting of the sort, and this shortly would be followed by the deployment. From the posturing of the Commissioner for Political Peace and Security, Dr. Abdel Fattah Musa, I mean, it does show very, very clearly that, yes, indeed, they are ready for the deployment. Yes, the issue about financial considerations and others have also emerged. He didn't necessarily give a clear cut as to how much this is going to cost. Of course, these are security matters that cannot be put out there in the public domain, especially when the media is there. But he was very emphatic to say that they are going there on their own accord, on their own resources, and they will finance this on their own. And so, therefore, it means that ECOWAS is going to be footing the bill. As to how it's going to happen, they've not been able to get those details out. But from the body language and also that of Ghana's defense minister and the chief of defense staff for Ghana, which, of course, I mean, ours is of much concern to us because of the concerns that have emerged regarding the deployment of our troops into Niger. It does appear, just like I reported a few days back, that governments or Ghana's head of security or Ghana's security chiefs are bent on contributing their quota to the ECOWAS mission to be deployed into Niger. We asked Dr. Fattah how many troops are going to be deployed. Of course, it's also of security concern. It's not going to relay that information. And so it does mean that the readiness, yes, of course, that is there, and they will do everything there is. Dominic Nitu did not speak to the media beyond his opening address to this, but from all indications, his support or government support to the ECOWAS cause is really been activated. Well, it's a daunting task for him. They will need to secure a bigger approval, especially from the legislature, in times like this. And they say that even the talks by people within the sub-region, groups in the sub-region that are calling the bluff of ECOWAS, they see that as really one that is uncalled for, especially if you look at, they were making a comparison of the Russian invading of Ukraine. When Russia was invading Ukraine, did they go for parliamentary approval and all that before they had to do the deployment? It's a security situation that at every point in time that they waste any time whatsoever, it becomes more dangerous, and there's a need for them to plug this, and they plug it for good.
Right then, Komla, many thanks for providing those details. That's Komla Kluche. He's a parliamentary affairs correspondent. Is at that event for us. Let's hear from Dr. Fattah on the situation in Niger now. And we'll hear from him shortly. We can take a listen to him now. While we wait to hear from him, just a bit of a challenge with the machines. But let's
we say no to military intervention. That is the issue. And the fundamental issue is that ECOWAS is protecting its protocols. Ironically, when ECOWAS deployed the standby force to the Gambia to make sure that a president who had lost elections vacated the presidency, nobody made noise. Today, they are saying, why are you intervening in Niger? So serious interests are at stake here. But that is not going to divert ECOWAS' attention. We just want to tell them that and inform them about the resolve of the ECOWAS heads of state and government.
That's the Ambassador, Abdul Fattah Musa. Let's get on the telephone line. Dr. Victor Doke is a security analyst and a lecturer at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping and Training Center. Doc, many thanks for speaking to us this afternoon. And so we're hearing from ECOWAS and Ambassador Abdul Fattah Musa say that by all means, by hook or crook, they will restore constitutional rule in coup-troubled Niger. That, for some, could be an indication that military intervention could be very well here.
Yes, good day to you. Very true. The ambassador has stated their mandate at ECOWAS to forestall peace and security in line with ensuring democratic practices. However, for them, ECOWAS now, the last option, the military intervention, is not taken off the table, but they need to explore preventive diplomacy. Now, it has shown that the religious leaders who are going to meet this junta, that's religious leaders from the northern part of Nigeria, having been able to meet the junta, are making progress. That's what we call the track 3 diplomacy. Why not ECOWAS explore this medium? Okay? Tap the knowledge from these leadership for them to engage the 21 ministers that the junta has appointed. Because whether we like it or not, the junta has shown signs, yes, they would transform or translate into a democratic dispensation going forward. With these 21 ministers, it appears the junta is a step ahead of ECOWAS. ECOWAS didn't see this coming. So for ECOWAS, the message is clear now. Work with the 21 ministers that we have, and then you will hear from us. But the military intervention, which ECOWAS is bent on, per their mandate, yes, it may come on. We're looking at the meeting with security chiefs here in Accra this afternoon to see what exactly will come out of the meeting. But they should try and explore every effort, preventive effort, and engage these 21 ministers, and then we can go ahead.
Engaging the 21 ministers and going ahead, obviously the conversation has been on and almost sounding repetitive as to the use of dialogue going forward. In terms of expectations beyond this, we know that there's been subsequent mission teams sent by ECOWAS. We've not really heard much in terms of what has transpired there. What will be the expectation, just quickly?
Well, first of all, going back a little bit, who are those ECOWAS sent as emissaries? Okay, now, it may be their capacity in the area of conflict resolution, i.e. prevention and negotiation, mediation, was not apt. Hence, could not even make progress, right? And we all know the stance the junta took initially. But later on, having realized that to take that stance, that the junta will not materialize into what they want, holding on to power for some time. That's why they went ahead and appointed the 21 ministers. Now, this is a new opportunity for ECOWAS, but it seems ECOWAS has taken the stance that we gave you the room for negotiation, mediation, you did not open up, so we are still bent on going ahead, right? Activated the ECOWAS and by force, deployed to Niger, but we all know the consequences. But for me, I think ECOWAS should give diplomacy a chance again, open up a new chapter, and that would yield positive results.
Doc, I appreciate that you could speak to us.
Thank you.
That's Dr. Victor Doke, a security analyst and a lecturer, speaking to us on the development. Just a bit more on ECOWAS and Togbi Amenya Fiti. He is the president of the Forum of Kings and Traditional Leaders. He's decried the decision by ECOWAS to deploy the military in Niger. We can just take a listen to him as well.
No to the military interference in Niger and calls for a comprehensive and proactive approach to address the conflict. The Forum vehemently opposes any effort aimed at undermining the hard-fought independence and sovereignty of African nations. The Forum calls on African political leaders to remain steadfast in upholding the principle of self-determination, accountability, and good governance, thereby safeguarding the interests and well-being of their citizens. The forum remain convinced that by upholding these principles, we can secure a brighter future for our continent.
Togbe Amenya Fiti, the president of the Forum of Kings and Traditional Leaders of Africa, was switching attention from this to health now because the Ghana Health Service has expressed displeasure about the impact of brain drain on the country's health sector. Last year alone, 525 nurses were lost, and according to the Director General, Patrick Kumar-Boaji, a system has been instituted where in the next 2 years these professionals that have been lost will be replaced. We'll connect with my colleague George Queenin shortly, but we can take you to the courts where there's the expectation of an update on the special prosecutor's attempt to confirm by the courts the freeze on the assets of former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abena-Dapaah. We will work the telephone lines and take you there where my colleague Lord Eduasare has been monitoring proceedings and is getting indication that that decision could be taken on August 31 instead of today. As to exactly why that decision is being arrived at, let's get a bit more from him. Lord Eduasare has joined us on the telephone line. Lord, we're hearing that the court's decision could come on August 31. Exactly why?
Right. So, when the case has been a virtual one, essentially because of the legal vacation, the respondents and the complainants they all joined the hearing virtually. So lawyers for both sides were making the arguments from their locations while the judge was in court. But then the Director of Prosecutions from the Office of the Special Prosecutor made the argument that the monies found in the former Sanitation Minister's house, she could not justify them, and so there was a need for them to freeze the account as well as the assets, and was praying the court for an extension of that freeze so that investigations could continue. But lawyer for Cecilia Dapaah told the court that the Office of the Special Prosecutor had already demanded the accounts or balance of the bank accounts of Cecilia Dapaah, so there was no need for them to place a freeze on her account. They demanded for the balance of the accounts as of August 9, after the search and everything had been conducted. Again, the lawyer noted that the application to extend the freeze of accounts and assets of the former Sanitation Minister was just a blatant arbitrary exercise of powers by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, since there was a lot of suspicion toward by misrepresentation of facts and a resultant media frenzy, which had given rise to how the case had panned out so far. So the judge, listening to both sides, asked the prosecution why only Cecilia Dapaah was arrested when the money essentially was found in her matrimonial home. So it had to include both she and her husband. But the Office of the Special Prosecutor noted that she wasn't the only one who was arrested. In fact, her husband was also arrested, but both were not charged and had been placed on bail. Now, we've been following this case, and so you know that this comes as new development since we're not aware. And essentially, the lawyer also noted that she was not aware that Cecilia Dapaah's husband had also been arrested and bailed but not charged. So essentially, the judge adjourned the sitting or the hearing to August 31 to determine whether the application by the Office of the Special Prosecutor will be granted.
Right then, Lord, many thanks. That's Lord Eduasare as our court correspondent, providing a bit more details there for us. And from the court, we're taking you to the headquarters or the head office of the Electoral Commission, because they are to provide updates as to the country's district assembly elections. My colleague Evelyn Tingma is there for us. Let's find out if that news conference by the Electoral Commission has started. Evelyn, what has the EC been saying?
Mawuena, the Electoral Commissioner, Jane Mensah, just started her speech on this particular matter. And basically, she's talking about the district level elections and, of course, the registration, the continuous registration exercise. And you understand that they made some proposal that they wanted to use the Ghana card as the only means of registering applicants as well as other means. But Parliament did not accept that, and they made some proposals to the EC to factor these things inside. But the EC is saying that it is rather unfortunate that Parliament did not agree to what they wanted to do, because the exercise that they want to conduct is to strengthen the electoral roll and all that. But Parliament did not approve of it, but it is something that they are still working on. With the district level elections, it's yet to touch on that particular matter. But you will understand that the district level elections has delayed, of course, and there are issues that need to be addressed, and the EC Commissioner will be addressing this matter, Mawuena.
Right then, Evelyn, we'll leave you and get the details as and when it does come out. Evelyn Tingma, my colleague, the EC's head office, and we mentioned health and the concern of the Ghana Health Service with regards brain drain. They've been addressing a news conference. George Queen has joined us with a bit more details. George, concerns, displeasure raised by the Ghana Health Service, have they stated what it is that they'll be doing to curb this?
Okay. Marina, thanks for having me. And so today, the Ghana Health Service met the press to update the nation on its mandate. And obviously, the issue about brain drain came to bear. And according to statistics by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, nearly 4,000 nurses left to the Western world in 2022. And the first quarter of that same year was 3,000. And so this is an issue of great concern. According to the Ghana Health Service, they're not only losing nurses, they are losing professionals like doctors as well. And for him, people that are staying and sacrificing are not being appreciated enough. And so we as a media station and others should also ensure that we talk much about these achievements and to ensure that people stay. So for the Director General, who is Patrick Kumar-Bwaji, they cannot virtually stop people from moving in droves to better their lives, seek for greener pastures, because he feels it's a cycle. If the Western world is seeking 1,000 professionals, at the end of the day, when they get that number, the whole process of people moving in droves will stall and will come maybe another time. As it stands now, they are making sure that the processes of, improving conditions of service, they will not stop at it. They'll keep, going harder with it vigorously to ensure that a lot of people, lives are improved, and also they would ensure that these people or professionals also further their education to enhance their capacities as well. And they're also ensuring that we keep talking about the issue about patriotism, so people can appreciate the fact that when they stay and sacrifice for their nation, it's more like an achievement that they can celebrate. So this exactly is what they are doing. And also, they've instituted a measure where in every 2 years, when we lose these professionals, they can be replaced in the next 2 years.
Right then, George Queenin, providing those details from that news conference, from that concern to another having to do with fuel prices, because motorists and passengers are asking government to reduce what they describe as an outrageous hike in fuel prices. Starting today, most of you would have seen petrol and diesel prices are up by some 5.7%. Some pumps have already started charging the new increased prices on their product. Comes in the week of an 11% surge in international finished product prices and a 6.79% increase in crude oil prices. Some of you have been speaking to us in relation to the recent hikes.
In fact, I was surprised because I bought 200 cedis of fuel and then I didn't see my gauge shooting up. So I asked the fuel attendant and he was like, "Yo, they've increased it." I was like, "Wow, when?" And she said, the lady said just yesterday or so. So I was just surprised. So I just went to check on the other thing to see if really a liter is 13.50, and then I just have to accept it like that. But it's really affecting us, and it's never good. It has to come down.
Yeah, it's true. They've increased the prices of the fuel products at the pumps. It's affecting us, especially those of us who are using it for private purposes. For commercial drivers, they have the opportunity to increase lorry fares. So what I would say is that you employ our employees to also consider us and perhaps give us some cola so that it can cushion us a bit.
I'm a passenger, but I didn't see any increment in the lorry fare this morning when I was coming to work. But I don't know my way back home, because since majority of the drivers will realize the increase this morning, and perhaps maybe they could have increased it in the evening. But this morning when I was coming, it was the normal fare. So I'm just hoping they will not increase it when I'm going back home in the evening.
A number of you sharing thoughts with us as to the recent hike in fuel prices. We'll be following that story and the development. Some say that wait 2 weeks, you get to know whether it does reduce or increase again. Away from this, and the minority in Parliament is this afternoon asking more questions over the ongoing new Bank of Ghana head office building. The $250 million facility has been the center of concern among the NDC MPs who've described the ongoing construction as problematic in the face of country's current economic challenge. Norton MP Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa is alleging the use of restrictive tendering processes in selecting contractors for the ongoing project, in sharp contrast to the country's laid down rules. He's been speaking to 3FM.
In fact, I was surprised because I bought 200 cedis of fuel and then I didn't see my gate.
What I have discovered is that the project started at a cost of $81 million. I mean, it's just like the National Cathedral starting at $100 million and is now in excess of $400 million. When the tender process began, the procurement process began in January of 2020, the cost of the building was supposed to be $81 million. That's what was agreed. Shockingly, between January and September, will you believe that the project shot up to $121 million? They added about $40 million to it. Now, what is shocking is that this is a dollar-denominated project, not cedis, where you can say that, okay, because of inflation, because of depreciation of the currency, this kind of wide variations occur when it's a CD contract. If you thought that a movement from 81 to 121 million is bad enough, as we speak, from my insiders who have shared documents with me, they are preparing another variation, which is in excess of $250 million. Absolutely incredible. And what is also emerging from the documents I have put out, you notice that instead of Bank of Ghana using a full competitive tender process, which will have allowed for value for money, what they did was to do restricted tendering. So a very selective process where they just called 5 companies. It's not clear the criteria used. It's like people just calling their friends, cronies, to just come and participate in this bid. Then what is also mind-boggling is that this procurement process began during COVID. Can you believe it? When we were told that government is suspending all other projects, it turns out that they were busily putting together this rigged deal. Then what is also shocking is that we have discovered that the project management aspect of this contract was also so. It even raises questions about how the PPA itself is conducting its affairs. You begin to see why the Bank of Ghana has been run aground.
That's Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa. Well, with that concern yet to receive any response, Boko Central Member of Parliament Mahama Yariga is requesting information from the Bank of Ghana on the cost of the new head office building under construction. He's put up quite a number of questions in a post and a letter really to the governor of the central bank. I'll just walk you through it. First, he's asking the processes involved in the procurement of the construction of the new headquarters building of the Bank of Ghana, currently under construction at Region Accra, and the contractors involved in the construction. He's asking that they provide names of the consultant and project managers, the financing arrangement of the construction of the new headquarters building of the Bank of Ghana, and the cost, scope of works, bill of quantities, and contract start and completion date of the new headquarters building of the Bank of Ghana currently under construction, and how the land on which the new headquarters building of the Bank of Ghana currently under construction was procured. And he puts his name and says that he's asking the questions as a member of parliament. We'll see how all of this goes. Well, that's our bulletin for you this afternoon. It came to you from our studio here at 3FM 92.7. As always, a lot more news if you log on to 3news.com. Now, Akua Mensah Aborampah, she's here, ready and waiting with the very latest from the world of business. We'll get into that shortly and tell you exactly what's happening. I am Eric Mawuena Egbeta. As always, a lot more news if you log on to 3news.com.
Very good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us on Business Daily. Coming up this afternoon, Ghana's fiscal deficit of 9% of GDP, highest in West Africa in 2022. That's according to AFDB's Economic Outlook report. To be giving you more details, and Public Interest and Accountability Committee pressures GNPC to deposit all proceeds made through Jubilee Oil Holding Limited into the Petroleum Holding Fund. Plus, fuel price increases takes effect at various pumps. We have the details in the next few minutes. Please stay. Thank you for staying. My name is Nana Akua Mensah Aborampah. Let's settle for the details now. As Ghana's fiscal deficit of 9% of gross domestic product was the highest in West Africa in 2022, the African Development Bank West African 2023 Economic Outlook report has revealed. According to the report, the fiscal deficit of GDP, or the fiscal deficit to GDP, fell by 0.2% from 9.2% in 2021. The following three business desk report has more.
Ghana's fiscal deficit averaged 5.8% of GDP between 2014 and 2020. This placed it as second highest in the ECOWAS region. In 2021, fiscal deficits increased in all countries in the region except Guinea, where it declined by 0.4, and Liberia 2.1 percentage points, the report stated. The increase in fiscal deficit, it said, was however the largest in Ghana, where it increased to 9.2% of GDP in 2021 from an average of 5.8% in 2014 to 2020, attributable to underperformance in domestic revenue despite a slowdown in COVID-19 related health expenditure. In this period, there was low revenue and high expenditure, whilst the debt level rose astronomically due to high borrowings and exchange rates depreciation. Meanwhile, the situation appears to be improving, with provisional data on budget execution for the period January to May 2023 indicating an overall broad cash deficit of 1.8% of GDP, against the programmed budget's target of 4% of GDP.
And that was a News Desk report. Now, the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, has reiterated its stance that the GNPC should deposit all proceeds made through Jubilee Oil Holding Limited into the Petroleum Holding Fund. Addressing the media, chairperson of PIAC, Professor Kwame Adom-Frimpong, said this will be in accordance with the Petroleum Revenue Management Act.
When we met Minister of Finance, well, indirectly, Minister of Finance also supporting the idea because they think when the money comes in, it's going to increase the resources of the. But at times it's difficult to link the two together because GMPC is under Minister of Finance. So we are agitating that any money from GOHL should come into the system before allocation. All our money goes to Bank of Ghana before allocations are made, and that's what we want it to be. You haven't ended it. You haven't ended it, yes. You are still debating about it.
You heard Professor Kwame Adom-Frimpong, chairperson of PIAC. The Ministry of Food and Agriculture says it's confident that the phase 2 of the government's flagship Planting for Food and Jobs program will help drastically tame food inflation in the country. Food inflation stood at a concerning 55% last month, which was an increase from 54.2% in June 2023. A Deputy Sector Minister, Frimpong Ado, stated that the new design of PFJ will not only boost food production, but also tackle post-harvest losses.
On our rounds in the hinter, the growing areas, we have foodstuffs there. But I come to the cities and it's a problem. So these are the bottlenecks that we are tackling. The food inflation started from that point, and it has not subsided. In fact, the recent one has even gone up, and it's pushed the national inflation also up. We've accepted the challenge. I mean, it's a major challenge because there are several factors that bring about this high challenging figures. So we are working on our part. Ours is to increase production. And the modules that we have picked, we are seriously going to increase production. How to take care of the excess production has been our bane. So aggregators, off-takers that we are introducing to the system, and the warehousing, the silo system, these are the things that we are doing to stabilize the situation. And you encourage maybe a better transportation system to bring the foodstuffs into the cities just to bring the prices down.
Yao Frimpong Ado is a Deputy Minister of Food and Agriculture speaking there. And just before we go, some oil marketing companies have increased prices of petroleum products at the pumps. Total Energies has increased the price of petrol to 13 cedis 50 pesos per litre from 12 cedis 45 pesos per litre at the beginning of the month. Diesel is also going for 13 cedis 90 pesos per litre from the previous price of 12 cedis 45 pesos per litre. Goil has also increased prices. Petrol to 13 cedis 50 pesos and diesel to 13 cedis 90 pesos per litre. The rest of the OMCs are expected to adjust prices today. I'm sure it has taken effect already as we enter midday. Earlier, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers COPEC announced that fuel prices will see an increase of about 5.7% in the second pricing window of August, and this was same for the IAS, which is the Institute of Energy Security, also projecting some 5% there in terms of the second pricing window. But we see how the next pricing window for September would be. We'll give you more updates on that. Means that you should add some few cities, if I should say, when you are going to get a litre of fuel at the various pump stations. But remember, you can also log on to 3news.com. We have more business news updates later on Hot Edition. Enjoy your lunch. My name is Nana Akua Mensah Aborampah. Have a good afternoon.